I've been moisturising my nose.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You know specifically.
Well, other parts as well. The way I said that suggested I've been doing my bollocks. Like it, when I say, whenever you say other something and keep it vague, people always assume, well, I always assume they're talking about their genitals.
Were you? Is the question.
The last thing I need to do is moisturise my genitals. That sounded like they're perpetually wet. I'm saying that it's a bad idea. In fact, we've acquired a cream that does the opposite. Keeps
Is
it
this like that
dry
time
and
I
fresh
got sent
down
the dry your hands out cream, the sweaty gamer hand cream?
It's that kind of stuff. I don't know if I said so at the time, but when I lived in America, me and a friend ended up with these tubes of a drying cream that was specifically marketed as for your balls, and it was called Dry Nuts or something like that. It was like just yeah, I'll get a tube of Dry Nuts, please.
I can't. As a former haver, I can't say that sounds like a pleasant experience, given what I know that stuff did to my hands.
Well, I tell you what, right? It did the job.
Okay,
it actually did.
okay.
It actually did. Like do the just kept things breezy down there, you know.
Ooh.
But I've been moisturising my nose. Not specifically. I my hands dry out a lot. Didn't happen like it used to happen when I was a teenager. Then it didn't. Then I think maybe HRT or something like I don't know, made the skin more sensitive or something, and my hands dried out again, and they'd like crack and everything. It'd be fucking horrible. So I've been moisturising them, but I do the arms and legs and all of that as well. And then I started doing the nose. I do the bits of the face as well, but
Yeah.
the nose.
You got the cream on your hands already, you might as well get the excess,
Might as well put it somewhere. Plus, sometimes like the edges of my nose can get a little dry, so I was like, I'm going to moisturise my nose. I bring this up to recommend it. I have now what could only be described as a luxury nose.
Oh.
I have a luxury nose. It is amazing. Like, the softest, sleekest nose in the Northern Hemisphere, I would say. I've not taken a poll.
I had a pretty similar experience some months back because Linda has these wax strips for her, eyebrows.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I'm going to wax my nose.
Oh.
Because I get these very small, they're very short, but they're very thick hairs that spring up all across the top of my nose. And,
Right.
Some of them are very black and I pluck them, but there's just a lot of them there that you can't really see because I'm old and the black hairs are all graying. And I'll tell you what, after I waxed my nose, I just was touching it constantly because of how smooth it felt.
That's the thing. Once you get a bit of you that's smooth that wasn't as smooth before, it becomes the talk of your hands' town.
It's one of those things. Hey, anyone who is a cis man who is listening to this podcast and has never done so, you've never shaved your legs. You do not know the joy that is shaving your legs and then rubbing your freshly shaved legs together and going, ooh, they're so silky, they're so smooth, I feel so aerodynamic, ooh.
You end up looking like some sort of mad fly. Very much can recommend that as well. Also, again, I don't know if I ever mentioned this one, but the HRT definitely did this one. Eyelids. I've addictively soft eyelids, which sounds serial killer-ish now that I say it out loud. But I just recommend, whether it's shaving legs or moisturising noses or wax stripping hairs at the top of your nose, right? Whatever is not currently smooth on you, right, in smoothing it. It's life-changing, or at least it is novel for 5 minutes. And that's really what this podcast is all about, you know, health, fitness, and beauty. Looking good, feeling good, new year, new me. That's what I've brought to the table this week, anyway.
Well, that's better than what I've brought to the table this week, because I've brought a singular video game that I talked about in a prior week. I've got a very Conrad what I've brought to the table this week pile.
That's unfortunate, because I have also brought that.
Yeah, how about you, Steph? How much have you brought along today?
In sports, a hat trick is where you score 3 things in a row. And this week's episode is a hat trick.
And I'll tell you this, there's barely any fucking news this week as well, so this is going to be a fun one.
Well, you've got to be done. You've got to keep it to a tight hour anyway, Laura.
Yeah,
because of other like work stuff.
I've got too many. Look, I got too many things on my work plate this week. I was talking to Conrad before we started. I agree to a lot of freelance work, and a lot of it, just by its very nature, is we don't know exactly when it's going to start, but agree to it now, and then it'll show up in the future. And the way that has shaken out this month is, I think 4, maybe 5 different projects that were all at some point in either April or May, all showed up on the same week and went, you can get this back to me by Friday, right? Which is not helpful.
Not great. No.
It's not the most helpful, you know. I'm glad to have the work. I'll never say no to having the work. But it's... If you could have all coordinated companies that didn't know I'd agreed to each other's work and, like, spread yourselves out, that'd be really good for me.
Well, it's a good thing we've got nothing to talk about this week then, isn't it?
It really is.
I've got a thing to talk about. Are you ready for me to waffle at length about competitive Pokemon for a bit?
Oh, please do.
I dropped off of the Pokemon thing, whatever it's called. I can't even remember what it's called now.
Champions?
Pokemon Champions!
Yeah. I found the battles too investing. Like, I don't want to call them exciting or nerve-wracking, because it's Pokemon battles. They are what they are. But there's something not casual about them to where I'm like, this is too much of a thing for me.
There is something fundamentally different knowing there's another human being on the other side of this actually trying their best against me that does give it a very different feeling to It's not the feeling of mashing the A button in a single player, like, random trainer battle.
No. It's got a weight to it. I think that's the best way to describe it. It's got a weight to it that I'm not keen on, which is nothing to do with the game's quality. It's just a bit too much of an intellectual, emotional investment for me to really get into. At least I am on
the other end. This is the first time I've gotten well and truly into competitive Pokemon, and I am really digging it. Before I get into, like, my path through playing it competitively, I've had a bit more time with what is the monetization, what can and can't be spent on, how do I feel about this? Of note, I think it is worth, like, at the baseline summarizing what you cannot spend money to speed up. First of all, there is no ability to spend money repeatedly without limit. There are 3 ways you can spend money, 2 of which are monthly subscriptions that are pretty low priced, and 1 is a single time payment you can only make the once. There is no ability to go, I'm going to keep spending money on this and suddenly all the bank account is empty. At most you could spend £12 a month on it, which, for the upper limit of what a free-to-play game will let you spend on it, I think is impressive. You cannot keep spending money to speed up getting new Pokemon, speed up training Pokemon, or speed up collecting any of the gameplay useful items. Genuinely very impressed, like, at the end of the day with that. Can't say many free-to-play games that feel that locked down. You cannot just spam money at us. It is impossible to do so. But in terms of, like, actually playing it, so the way that, like, the ranking system in this works is, like, you start at Pokeball rank 4, and you go rank 4, 3, 2, 1, then you go up a Pokeball type. So you go Pokeball 4 through 1, Great Ball 4 through 1, Ultra Ball 4 through 1, Master Ball 4 through 1, and then there's Champion rank at the top. And Champion rank is, you have to literally be in the top 300 people in the world on the leaderboard to get up into Champion rank. To give a sense of, like, where that climb is. I am in the Master Ball ranks. I am in Master Ball rank 3. At a rough estimate, I'm in the top 30,000 people playing this at the moment, which is, like, far from top in the world by any means, but it is way further than I expected to get as someone that has not played competitive Pokemon with any seriousness before, and has not done the thing of, that I might do at some point, going and looking at what is the meta team, maybe I go and make the team that everyone else is using to success. I picked a strategy before the game had come out that I didn't necessarily think was going to be the best one for me winning every match, but was a strategy from competitive in one of the older games that was recommended to me as a good, this will force you to learn to be better at competitive strategy. The strategy is something called Trick Room, and it's basically, normally faster Pokemon move first in turn. Some Pokemon have a move called Trick Room, which if you can successfully set it up, for 5 turns, slower Pokemon move faster instead of the faster ones moving first. A lot of slower Pokemon can do really powerful attacks, but the problem is, usually, if other Pokemon can attack before them, they can, kill them off before they do their big attack that's just gonna, like, wipe the other side out in one go. So the deal with Trick Room as a strategy, and why I kind of gravitated towards it, is it forces me to do a lot of... Because I basically cannot win a fight unless I successfully set up this move, and then make good advantage of it for 5 turns before it runs out, I have to be very much thinking of, what is the other player doing? How do I successfully set up a non-damaging move and position myself well so that I can capitalize on it straight away? A lot of my Pokemon have Protect on them, and I'm having to do a lot of strategically, what do I think my opponent is... Do I think my opponent is going to double into attacking just one of my 2 Pokemon? Can I predict that and get a hard read in to keep myself safe? And working out what my game plan is, if I fail to set up this swapping of speed orders, what is my backup plan? It is not a strategy that is being particularly popular on the leaderboard. It's not one I've encountered a lot of people using, but I've gotten pretty far with it, and if nothing else, it has forced me to get way better at stopping and thinking about the way I play this game in a very different way. Even in the scope of maybe a week, I have felt myself playing this game very differently. The thing that I think clicked in the last couple of days for me was, it's great if I can do, like, a hard read, where I can predict exactly what my opponent is going to do, where I'm like, they're definitely going to swap out that Pokemon, or they're definitely going to attack into my Pokemon here. I'll do the exact perfect move that perfectly counters that thing they're going to do. I'm trying to think less about it that way, and I'm trying to think more about soft reads, where I'm more like, let's say my opponent's Pokemon over there, fundamentally, any Pokemon on the field can only do 3 things on a turn. They can stay on the field protecting themselves, that they can't do in recurring turns. So, like, on alternating turns, if they've got the move Protect, they can just stop all incoming damage. They could swap out for another Pokemon, or they could try and attack me. And I'm trying to think about my moves in the context of, if I decide to do this, is that the best move I could do, regardless of which of the 3 responses they have? Like, am I preying too much on, this will be a great move if they do what I've predicted? Or will this be a productive move no matter which of the 3 options they take? And trying to think about it more that way has really helped with my win rate. The other thing I've been trying to do is I've been trying to be less greedy about trying to go for... I've sent my first 2 Pokemon out, and I see a really clear... If I do this attack, and it hits, I'll definitely get a kill. And trying to be aggressive with that. Because I need to remember that my opponent can probably see that I have that same very easy hit on them. And it's very easy for them to swap out into something that attack won't be effective against, or protect against it, and use that as a turn to just set themselves up without any pressure on them. And it's so easy to just see that, yeah, but that attack I have is 4 times effective, and if they don't switch out, I'll probably one-hit kill them. I have to stop thinking about that and going, no, the priority is set up Trick Room on that first turn. Don't stress about literally anything else. Get that Trick Room up, because if I screw this opening up, I'm left with a bunch of slow Pokemon and no way to get them moving fast. I've changed my team around a fair bit while I've been playing with it. The way that it is structured now, and I don't know how interested this is going to be to you, but maybe some of the people listening to this will enjoy this. I've been playing with Farigiraf as my Trick Room setter, which is a Pokemon that... it's a giraffe that wears its own tail as a hoodie, which I kind of like. But while it's out on the field, opposing Pokemon can't use moves that, like, ignore the turn order and get to attack first, which makes my Farigiraf pretty safe to set up its Trick Room and swap the turn order. I have a really fast Pokemon that I send out next to it in the front that can do an attack that will do some damage and then swap it out for something else in my party, so I'm still doing some damage and not using a whole turn to swap out my Pokemon, so I can bring something slow to the front, and then trying to use something like Torkoal, in my case, which is very slow, but if it's allowed to do its big fire attack, it'll just melt everything in front of it to do very big damage. And it's been working really well, and I've been having a lot of fun. And even the thing that I think tells me I'm probably going to stick with this is, even when I've had, like, pretty lengthy losing streaks in a row, I have found myself going, yeah, but I can see exactly why I lost that, and I'm gonna learn from it. Let me get back in there, let me keep climbing. I've never cared about, like, actually actively trying to climb a ranked leaderboard before, or had a game that I can lose as frequently as I'm losing in this and still feel energized to keep going. And that's been really fun. So yeah, I'm really enjoying Pokemon Champions. It's very much becoming the game that I'm playing at home while watching TV, in that way of, like, oh, I've got half an hour between things, I'll do a run of a roguelike. I'll hop in and I'll play 3 or 4 matches of this and see where I can get on that ladder. And yeah, I'm realizing that the big reason I didn't play competitive Pokemon previously, I think, is just the competitive seasons have always begun when a new RPG comes out, and anytime that happens, I spend the first 4 months shiny hunting. And at that point, I've spent 4 months not paying attention to what the meta is, and I feel a little like it feels a little late for me to jump in, even though I know realistically it's not, because other people will have more experience than I do on whatever the new gimmick of the game is. Having a competitive metagame that launched at the same time, like, separate from when the RPGs are happening, so there wasn't shiny hunting I could be doing instead, that, I think, is all I needed to get me to play ranked competitive Pokemon, and I'm having a great time with it. It's been literally my whole week. But yeah, what about both of you? Oh,
good.
Sorry, yeah?
I would say, like, good on the series. After, like, certainly my opinion of Legends Z2A was not positive. I know yours was, Laura. But it was quite possibly the most divisive and the most lambasted Pokemon game in many, many years. But Pokopia coming out not too long ago, and that game being fucking majestic, followed by this, which has certainly seemed to well, I mean, I played some of it, and while I won't continue with it, it's not bad. So it's nice to see. Certainly the spin-offs doing well.
Yeah. It's been nice that over the last 6 months, Pokemon has had 3 releases, and say what you will about like whether you enjoyed ZA or not, the last 3 Pokemon games in the last 6 months have been mechanically very creative and doing something very different with the battle system game. Aimed squarely at the casual city builder, casual space, and something that is laser targeted on, do you want just the traditional competitive battles, no frills, just fight? I like that they've had both extreme ends of what your interest in Pokemon might be, and something trying to be creative and see if something new is working. That's pretty promising.
Yeah. Obviously, we'll see how the
Winds
new
and
one...
Waves is the next one.
Yeah.
I mean, we know it's not this year, and again, that's promising to me that they're giving it at least another year before they release another one.
Yeah,
it's the longest gap they've done between main entries. That's positive.
I mean, like, just invest some fucking resources in it. Like, Game Freak's got them. This series is ridiculously profitable, and just the sheer cheapness that's evident in so many of their games. That's what frustrates me more than anything else. Is it's so obvious they could be better. A Pokemon game made with the kind of investment you would see in a game at that level. Like, I can imagine it so much, and it breaks my heart that we never see it. But we will see. Certainly there's been some good Pokemon stuff happening recently, and I will not stop extolling the virtues of Pokopia at the very least, because it is so fucking good.
I think Pokopia is great. I'm having a great time with Champions. I'm feeling absolutely delighted as I'm feeling very well fed by Pokemon at the moment, so hurrah.
Good.
What about you both? What have either of you played this week?
I'm working on a new video at the moment. I've written a lot of script. Quite a lot. I'm worried about how long this video is going to actually be. But I've been doing a video on horde shooters, because they've been on my mind a lot lately after Toxic Commando and then playing World War Z, which is the game I've mostly been playing this past week. The video script is not necessarily a justification, an attempt to intellectualize the amount of time I've wasted playing World War Z instead of important life things. But it helps. It helps me compartmentalize what I'm doing and the time I'm wasting. But yeah, I've been writing a lot about game design elements that are unique to crafting a good horde shooter beyond just have a lot of enemies and guns. And it's been very interesting to think about and sort of comparing and contrasting, sort of going all the way back to Left 4 Dead and seeing what games followed and which lessons they learned from that and which ones they didn't. So World War Z's been the main one. I'm still super into it. I've reached prestige level 7 with the medic now, and I've maxed out at least once every class except for Vanguard, just because even though I can tell Vanguard is a class that is potentially brilliant in the right hands with the right build, I think there's a reason I never see, ever since playing in 2019 to now, I have played alongside one Vanguard player. Just one player with the dinky little shield that they can charge with. But I've tried all the other classes, and they're all fun. They've done a good job of balancing a unique play experience for each one without changing the fundamentals at all with the equipment they've given each one. So everyone brings something. I've been doing the quote-unquote daily challenges a lot, which aren't actually daily. They change every few hours, which, talking about game design and what it takes to craft an enduring horde shooter, that's been interesting to look at, because they have a really good system there. They have, at any given time, 3 pre-selected levels with random modifications on them. It could be one random modification, it could be several, it could be a good one, like you find more heavy weapons or your secondary weapons do double damage, or it could be a really fucking bad one, like you will lose health if you sprint or climb something. Some of those are fucking grueling. But there are some cool ones as well. There's one where you're chased by a bull, special infected, that is gold and can't be killed. It's called Nemesis, the mod, in a cute sort of nod. That's either really cool or really fucking annoying, depending on where you are in a level. One that's really cool, it litters slow zombies in with the regular ones that are harder to kill, can take you down. Similar to the walkers in the Walking Dead level, the DLC. But they've all got like this darkened skin with glowing eyes, and they're legit creepy. I really like that one. And yeah, just having them on constant rotation so that whenever you log in, there are new things to do. And it's randomized so that you can have lots of different experiences. I do think that's a big reason why World War Z has endured as long as it has, because I'm impressed at how easy it is to get into a game. I'm really impressed by that. With almost any mode, like not even just the challenge mode. That's been cool. And it's a kind of evolution of the mutations in Left 4 Dead 2, where every week they'd have a mutation mode that would change what the mod was every single week, which was such a cool idea. And they're kind of all available now, because obviously the support for that is not there, being so old. So that's been most of my time. I did try a couple of others, though. I went back to, appropriately enough, Back 4 Blood, which released in, 2020? Like, it's about 5 or so years old. This was the spiritual successor for Left 4 Dead by the company calling itself Turtle Rock.
2021,
2021, yeah. I figured it was either 2020 or 21. But yeah, the studio calling itself Turtle Rock, which did have some former developers, but a lot of the people that worked for Left 4 Dead were still at Valve, so it wasn't like the whole original team. There are people that still really like that game. I was frankly surprised that I could get an online game going, but I could. There are people playing it. I think one of the key things with that game, if I'm comparing it to others, it's been years since I last got really into World War Z, until recently. When I picked it up again, I could get straight back into it. Like riding a bike, like I described it last week as sort of a comfortable glove of a game. I was so fucking confused going to Back 4 Blood. Between the cards that you build out, like you have a deck of cards that have various perks and sort of drawbacks that affect the multiple characters with their own skills, which isn't so bad, but many more seem to have appeared since I last played. The sheer volume of like loot drops and things that happen throughout a run, new things and twists added to the gameplay, for what is still at its heart Left 4 Dead but not as good. It is still fine, it plays fine, it suffers first from me just sort of feeling very alienated getting back into it. Indeed, I didn't get back into it. I played a couple of runs and I'm like, I will do more of that later, maybe. But the biggest issue I had with it at the time, which is still there, obviously, because there's only so much you could do to address it, is as much as that game attempts to have its own identity, it does not have one. It is actually stunning to look at Back 4 Blood and Toxic Commando as spiritual successors to Left 4 Dead and World War Z, and seeing all the ways in which they share their problems. Lack of identity, poorly designed specials that have to compensate for not really looking all that visually interesting by having red glowy things on them so that the game is yelling, notice this. Yeah, the special effects in that game, are rubbish.
Yeah. Me and Jane played Back 4 Blood when it came out because, Jane was very, very, very into Left 4 Dead back in the day.
Yeah.
So whenever a Left 4 Dead-like releases, inevitably we're going to try checking it out just to see if is this the one that scratches that itch. And yeah, the biggest problem with Back 4 Blood is that it is it's not terrible, but it's impossible to play it and not go, this thing's identity is trying to be Left 4 Dead, and it's not as good.
Yeah.
Like, you can't play it and not go, this is overcomplicated, not as good Left 4 Dead. And that reminder is really hard to put aside while playing.
Yeah, pretty much. I think one of the issues that I sort of really thought about going back to Back 4 Blood was the horde shooters that aren't Left 4 Dead that have really stuck in my mind, with the exception of World War Z, which sort of got in quick enough to kind of take the mantle from Left 4 Dead. It kind of got in quick enough, and it did. The swarms and the zombie pyramids and all of that was enough to stand out. But Back 4 Blood kind of really showed to me that, like, trying to do zombies but not quite zombies doesn't work. It doesn't work if you're trying to stand out or make an impression. It also just looks kind of desperate when they're zombies in all but name. They're called the Ridden in Back 4 Blood, and they give them like little horns. Like, the fact I can't even remember what the common infected look like now, because they basically look like common infected, but like I think they got like ashen skin and like little spiky bits. But they're the infected, and it's so transparent when it's the infected but different. At least World War Z kind of did just say, you know what, yeah, they're zombies. Ironically, World War Z tried the least to be Left 4 Dead but different. It just said, fuck it, we're Left 4 Dead, but with some gimmicks, and that worked. Whereas, and again, talking about like spiritual successors not retaining the lessons, Toxic Commando is zombies but different. They are just zombies covered in mud with sort of a bit of a red glowy tint to them. They aren't distinct, and their special infected also are like either really generic or really vague. You don't want vague elites in these kinds of games. You don't want one that's just sort of a gloopy mess where you're not quite sure what it does or what purpose it serves, and you can't really pick it out. And that's the issue with Back 4 Blood and Toxic Commando. It is a kind of remarkable how uninspired the designs are in Back 4 Blood. Partially because sort of the past half a decade or so, there have been and I brought this up in my review of Toxic Commando, there are so many games that decided not to have proper villains or proper antagonists in their games and just went with some form of the corruption TM. The darkness, the corruption, the blight. You've played, you know, a good sampling of games in the past however many years. You've played a game with the blight TM.
Yeah.
And the special infected in Toxic Commando and Back 4 Blood look like the kind of things you see in those games, which does not help them. It does not help them when they're like covered in shards or gloopy bits. And it's like, this could be in any game. Anything could look like this. One that sticks out in my mind, despite not being all that good a game, is Aliens Fireteam Elite. Doing a horde shooter with xenomorphs is a really good choice. Vermintide, horde shooter with Skaven, really good choice. I did play a bit of Vermintide 2, and I'm not saying it's a bad game. I see why people like it, but it is also very valuable to the script I'm writing, seeing how many cardinal sins it commits. I'd already written what I consider the unique design considerations for a horde shooter, and then I play Vermintide, which is mostly dark-coloured allies fighting dark-coloured enemies against dark-coloured backgrounds, with special enemies so unremarkable, I still am not sure which Skaven are special, unless they've got glowy green shit on them. it's so dark and vague and ill-defined. I don't even know when the thing I'm hitting is dead sometimes, which isn't helped by the characters not calling that shit half the time, which is something a horde shooter, I think, that's an essential. Have the characters call out when they've killed a special infected, when they're reloading, that kind of thing. And just the vagueness of the level design sometimes, where, like, there's no contrast between a ladder and the wall, and you need that shit in these games. I won't go much further into it just because, like I say, I've got a video coming where I really get into this. I get into it too much. But Vermintide, I need to spend more time with Vermintide too, because, like I say, I see why people like it, and it does do... It's not unentertaining, but it really gets some things wrong about what I would consider what makes a horde shooter work. And so many games forget certain really important elements. And I think Left 4 Dead, it's been so long since since Left 4 Dead 2 came out. That was 2022. Over 20 years ago. Or is it 10 years ago? I can't remember fucking times anymore. Over 10 years ago. Knocking on 20. And I think people making horde shooters now need to go back and play it. They need to go back and play it and take extensive notes, because that game still to this day perfected certain elements of that genre. I love horde shooters. I love talking about them from this perspective, which is why I have written so much in the script. I love them as a genre, and there are so many things Left 4 Dead did that developers didn't take away. They didn't take those things away from it. How levels guide players through them. Why linearity works, and why an open map didn't in Toxic Commando, you know? Yeah, I need to go back and play Left 4 Dead, to be honest. I feel like I would get booted from any random game I went into now, because I wouldn't be good. But at the very least, I need to play with some AI.
Weirdly, the problem that... Jane's talked about this before. The problem she has trying to go back to Left 4 Dead is that it's basically fucking impossible to find, like, matchmaking with people playing, like, the vanilla version of Left 4 Dead anymore.
Ah, yeah.
It's been like this for years. Every single match that you try and match up with, it'll be like, oh, here's my custom lobby where it's just... I replaced every enemy with the hardest enemy and, like, all these weird custom rules. It's impossible to find people just playing Left 4 Dead anymore. That said, if you want to play some just Left 4 Dead, me and Jane will probably play some with you.
Yeah, like, I am legit... I need to, for the sake of the video, I need to play it again. In fact, I am setting it to download at the moment.
Message us at the weekend. We'll play some with you, probably.
Yeah. And I'm still up for some World War Z as well. Like, maybe this weekend or something. Because that would be nice. But yeah, that's been me. It's been a lot of different horde shooters. And about 5 levels of Earth Defense Force 6, because it's on PlayStation Plus. And even though I don't really get on with that series, except for World Brothers, it's not been terrible. It's not been terrible. Yeah, that's me.
What about you, comrade?
Did you know that the Time Splitters guys have a new game out?
I had
did not
heard
know
about
that.
it. I didn't know it was out already.
Yeah, it's called Beyond Words. And it is Scrabble meets Balatro.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm looking at it.
Yeah. It is, Wordatro came out a little while back. And
Yep.
I think this is one of those situations where they just kind of got beat to market by that game. I didn't play that game because I was so annoyed by the choice of the name
Yeah.
that I didn't play
Look,
it.
I can't blame you. I didn't pick that name. I get it.
Yeah. And, but this is, picked this up and I'm like 5 levels deep. They have different boards that you play the Scrabble game on. And
I'll say this, having played a lot of Word Outro, this certainly seems more elaborate and numbers flying at you.
I mean, well, that's when I say, gosh, this is Balatro. Like, it does all the Balatro things in terms of finding all the little ways that you could create synergy opportunities and bonus
I see
opportunities.
your jokers up at the top, yeah.
Yeah, you've got your jokers at the top. You've got your, 2 booster cards that you can use that will affect tiles in your tray or have other sorts of effects. Just like the tarot cards in Balatro. There's tile effects such as having them add additional points, add multipliers, multiplier of the multiplier can be applied. There will be spaces on the board that can apply effects to tiles or words. Word length is ranks, where in Balatro it would be card rank or hand ranks. Here it's the lengths of the words individually have scoring and upgrades. You can discard up to 3 tiles from your board and get new tiles, so that mechanic is present too. Like, it is the comparisons, they are so deep, and that whenever a game like and really I think the game like is Vampire Survivors, not so much Balatro. Balatro definitely is a definitional work in this kind of game, but the synergistic dopamine rush scoring elements, all of that really comes out of the Survivors genre. And I love it when an idea takes hold and everybody looks at everything else that's ever been made and tries to figure out, does this work? Will it blend? And Scrabble absolutely fucking would blend, and they have a lot of great ingredients. I mean, but it is just Balatro in every way, even down to, you get the shops in between. The layout of the shop is even the same pretty much and has the same types of items. You have the passive effect items that you can, also purchase that tend to be a little more expensive but have ramifications on all sorts of gameplay mechanics. Sell back the items to the shop. And it has the boss stuff every 3 levels and the ability to skip around to get a different reward. I mean, everything Balatro is in here. They took it apart piece by piece and reassembled it into a Scrabble context. And it is very good. I am well pleased by it. It has some of the most inoffensive background music for a game that is possible. Like, it's ambient and it's present and it loops and it's not complex and it's fine. You forget it's there, but then you notice it's there and you're not bothered by it. They did great work with that. I will be playing this for a while, if for no other reason than I think I needed a word game. And this is a very, very good one. And I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Nice. There's not a lot of newsy stuff this week, but there's one story that I think is interesting. In terms of there's a bit of a story to tell for one of these. So Rockstar Games got hacked last week. I don't know if you heard much about this
I did not.
At the time. So there's a group called Shiny Hunters who managed to get through some element of Rockstar's digital security and extracted internal data. Like, it doesn't seem like they accessed game data, but they accessed, like, company records and things of that nature. And they were threatening last week publicly, hey, pay us a ransom or we will release this data onto the internet. And Rockstar and Take-Two did not, they didn't pay up the ransom that was asked, and the information got posted onto the internet. Now, what makes that interesting is the result, because I suspect what Shiny Hunters were hoping for is, oh, this will be devastating to you on a business level. That's why you'll pay for us to not release this info. Quite the opposite happened. The information that was leaked, honestly, looked fucking brilliant for Rockstar's financials. A lot of it was like fucking victory lap shit that you couldn't really get much better promotion in terms of like shareholder confidence than this getting leaked to the public. This is the kind of information was like, GTA Online is at present still making Rockstar around $1.3 million per day.
Oh my god.
With annual estimates of around $500 million from microtransactions alone. This is the kind of shit that was in the leaked documents. The response to it getting leaked, Take-Two's stock shot up. Absolutely, it went up quite considerably, in a couple of bumps. Basically, the second these went up, there were a couple of spikes as different time zones woke up going, oh, company's doing that well? Yeah, we'll buy in stock. So yeah, interesting story just from the perspective of, I don't know if I've ever seen an attempted extortion have as opposite of an intended effect as this.
It is, I mean, it's never good when you get hacked. Like,
no.
Regardless of any other outcome, you've shown that your system is vulnerable, that you're at risk. And nobody likes to hear that the company that they've put a bunch of money into is at risk. Yeah. But on the other hand, if faced with the choice of hearing, yeah, they need to improve their network security, and, oh, by the way, they're making a shit ton of fucking money as an investor. You know?
Yeah. Oh, you probably need to invest a bit more in your cybersecurity. That's okay. You've got $1.5 million in GTA Online money coming in every day that you can reinvest in that, I guess. Yeah, just from a... I've been deeply amused by thinking about the hackers and what the process must have been like of going, this'll get them to pay up. Oh no. It reminds me a bit of, there was another story that did the rounds this week that is not video game specific, but I find equally fascinating and I just want to tell you both about. Either of you aware of the animated Avatar: The Last Airbender series from like a decade plus ago? God, probably closer to 2 decades at this point.
I mean, then the name is everywhere, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, it's hard. No, you don't have to have watched it to know this particularly, but it's a very critically well acclaimed children's animated series, right, from like 10-15 years ago. That is in October this year is getting a sequel movie with all of the main characters as adults revisiting these very, very well received characters. That entire movie leaked onto the internet, in full, in perfect quality, 6 months ahead of its release? Because Paramount Pictures emailed an unencrypted, unwatermarked copy to a random person on Twitter.
Oh.
They just emailed, like, the MP4 of the full film to, presumably what they did is they, like, typed in the wrong email address, and instead of so-and-so at Paramount.com, did and maybe just fucking muscle memoried that name at gmail.com, and whoever received it went, I've got something on my hands here, fuck it, post it to YouTube.
Anyone would.
Yeah, so an entire 6 months ahead of release film released because someone at a publisher just fucking emailed it to a random fucking nobody. Digital security is alive and well.
Amazing.
Yeah, gotta love it.
There we go. I think that's everything we got for this week.
Good for
Fair
us.
enough.
We did it.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. Well, Laura, if I wanted to email someone a copy of your work, where could I go to access it first?
Well, you could find it at Laura K. Buzz on Patreon. That's the big place. That's what pays the bills. $1 a month over there or more lets me keep doing all the stuff what I do. You can find it over on YouTube. What have we got going up this week? There is a episode of Where Everybody Has Gone Before going up, which is about, let me remind myself what episode of Star Trek we're talking about this time. It is, it's an episode of TNG where they're all stuck in a time loop. It's a really good episode. I forget what the episode was called, but yeah, we've got that going up the same day as Podquisition goes up, so you can watch me and Jeffrey spend 45 minutes talking about genuinely one of the best episodes of Star Trek I think I've ever seen. There is a accessibility going up this week about the monetization specifics on Pokémon Champions. And then check out the Twitch streams. I'm going to be streaming some Tomodachi Life coming up, some Pragmata, and probably a bunch of me trying to climb the ladder on Pokémon Champions. So look forward to all of those. Conrad, what about you? Where are you out on the internet?
Oh, you can find me at Conrad Zimmerman on Blue Sky, and you can hang out with me on Twitch at twitch.tv/thatConradZimmerman. I'm usually on Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, but then occasionally my wife will get on for random things. She's been doing a lot of horror stuff, because after Resident Evil Requiem came out, she's like, oh, Leon, and the game too, and so she got back into getting on the stream regularly and been playing some cool. She did Creature Kitchen, which was adorable. Oh my god! And you can listen to us talk about snacks on Let's Talk About Snacks, available where podcasts are, and you can buy Anti-Capitalist Propaganda and Jimquisition merchandise at mercenarycreative.com, and everything I do online gets supported through Patreon at patreon.com/fistshark. And you know who else has a Patreon? Stephanie Sterling.
That is true. Patreon.com/Jimquisition, which supports this podcast, the videos, which, as I say, I'm working on a pretty hefty script for one right now, but you can watch YouTube, The Online Predator's Best Friend, on the channel right now. I also write reviews on thejimquisition.com, which Patreon also supports, and thank you everyone who checks those out. Other than that, you can see my work in Vampire Survivors, Quantum, Witch, and Date Everything, 3 games currently available, and I'm working on some other big projects that will be announced in future. That's it. Thank you all so much for listening this week. We do have to dash because Laura is perpetually busy, but we will be here next week. Hell or high water, and see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.